Yeah.
Oh, hi, this is Desiree Dezbot from the Nerd Element, and I'm speaking with Eugene Rod Roddenbery, the son of Gene Roddenberry, who created everyone's favorite Star Trek. Um, so let's talk about Think Trek, because that's what you're doing for the Centennial. So could you tell us a little bit about Think Trek and also what you have planned for the actual Centennial Day?
Sure, Desiree. Thank you for having me on here. It was a bit of a challenge to think what to do for a man who's, he's been passed for over 20 years now, and to posthumously celebrate his 100th birthday. It's really the idea behind the man, the idea of Star Trek, that philosophy that's in Star Trek that we are really wanting to push. Of course, as a son, I want to celebrate my father, because he was much more than just Star Trek. He had an incredibly varied career before that, being a pilot in World War II, and then a transcontinental pilot, and then a sergeant in the LAPD. But the one campaign that we're doing online, that we're doing more than one, but one of the campaigns, Think Trek, that we're doing is really the most fun one. It's simple and anyone can do it. It's to look around your world and anywhere you go, anything that reminds you of Trek, whether it's a cloud in the sky that's looks like the Enterprise, or something that's looks like the insignia, or some words that say Vulcan in it. Just take a picture of that, put it on social media, and hashtag it Think Trek. That is the fun part. What we're really trying to do is get people to think about Star Trek and the messaging behind it, because it's that messaging that has kept Star Trek around for 55 years now.
Right. And speaking of the messaging, you did have the Talk Trek, which is 100 quotes from your father. So how did you go about choosing both the quotes and the people to give the quotes in the videos?
That was quite a challenge. Luckily, I surround myself with a team of people who are certainly more talented than I am, and they do a tremendous amount of the work. But I've spent my entire life around these quotes, whether they're interviews or conventions my father did, or audio clippings from audio files that he has actually done. And they've always struck me as, more than just words. My father was, if anything, certainly a futurist and a forward thinker. He was ahead of his time, and we wanted to get those quotes out there, and we wanted to have people look at them. We do a podcast called Mission Log with two great hosts that look at an episode of Star Trek, and they summarize it, they have some fun with it, trivia, and then they say, what are the morals, myths, and meanings? They dig into it. We wanted to do the same thing with these quotes, because these quotes aren't just words on a page. They were said for a reason. And so we found two other great hosts, and their job was to look at these words and what do they mean? When were they said? Why were they said? How were they said? And then they bring in a guest, and the guest shares their personality on it. And the idea was to have a diverse group of people from all walks of life. So these quotes can be looked at in various ways and be shared in various ways. And I'll tell you, I've read these quotes before, and sure, I interpret them in my own way. But the various points of view that we got from them were staggering and wonderful. There were so many exciting things to hear coming from these people. And that's really perfect, because it fits in with Star Trek. Star Trek was about getting people to see different points of view. Star Trek is at its best when it, of course, is entertaining, when, of course, it's exciting and engaging, and the characters you can fall in love with. But more importantly, when Star Trek has something in there that gets you to think and perhaps consider another point of view, that's when Star Trek is at its ultimate best. And again, that's why it's been around for 55 years.
And I would just interject something a little bit personal about Star Trek. That was a show that I enjoyed with my father, who passed away a few years ago.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. His favorite was Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
So we used to sit and watch it together, and just one of the things that gave him great comfort, because he had Alzheimer's, and during that time, he could still, as soon as the Star Trek TNG came on, he would know what the episode was. He would know how it was going to end. He loved it that much. So I just wanted to thank you and your father for that.
I appreciate that.
That's how much it deeply touches people. I think that's one of the reasons it's still so strong.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know living with that is incredibly difficult, and so I thank you. I certainly cannot take any credit, but on behalf of my father, this is exactly what we're trying to celebrate. I have spent my life with people coming up to me, telling me how Star Trek has inspired them, and to either believe in a better future or to believe in themselves or the people around them. And this is why we're doing this. Star Trek had a lot to say in the 60s. It was incredibly relevant then. It touched people and changed lives for the better in many ways. And that message is still necessary today. So this is what we're doing, getting it out there.
And I also know you have the podcast, Quoting Gene Roddenberry, that's part of the Talk Trek.
Yeah.
Could you discuss that a little bit, where we can listen to it and how that came about?
Well, I mean, that really was finding those quotes and realizing that they needed two great hosts who came from different walks of life for sure, and could analyze them and pull them apart, as well as have the guests come in and look at them. You can find it on any podcast outlet out there. Apple Podcasts for sure has it, Quoting Gene Roddenbery. The idea was to start 100 days before my father's birthday on the 19th of August, and not only have this podcast happen, but we had a celebrity read a quote each one of these days. So if you go to that podcast, you'll get to hear the quote. If you go to roddenberry.com and if you put Talk Trek out there, you'll be able to see the celebrity read it. But it's a great look into each one of these quotes, and I encourage everyone to go out there and do it. It's really been a lot of fun.
Speaking of fun, one of the fun things I saw on the site is the builds in Make Trek.
Yes.
The Lego builds.
Yes.
So how did that come about? And also, how long did the first build, the one that's the kiss between Uhura and Kirk, how long did that take the artist to make? Well,
the artist Samuel Hatmaker, he was on a TV series called Lego Masters, and he reached out to us, or we reached out. Well, I don't know what happened, but we came across his works and we saw a lot of beautiful mosaics out of Lego that he had done. He's done them for all sorts of characters, and small and large. And we just thought it would be fun to have him do something for Star Trek. And we've got, I believe in the end it'll be 5, but right now we've got 4 beautiful, different kinds of mosaic art pieces that really represent Star Trek. And you can see them online, of course, at roddenberry.com and Make Trek. But the kiss between Kirk and Uhura, I mean, that's a piece of history.
Right.
And we felt that really had to come out in this. And so we bought them with the idea, we had him make them with the idea of maybe one day we'd sell them and give money to charity. I don't want to. I want to keep them. The Roddenberry Foundation can give money to charity. The works of art that he has created are just truly spectacular and so unique.
Will they ever be shown in person once we're able to do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, COVID and the Delta variant has changed a lot of our plans for my father's birthday. But we are going to the Las Vegas convention, which is right around the corner here. We're all vaccinated. We're going to wear masks. I know that doesn't make anything foolproof because there are people from all over the US going. And while we're not as concerned about catching anything ourselves, our main concern is people who are not vaccinated who might be exposed. And that is really the risk that we're all sort of dealing with these days. Anyhow, they will be at that convention. And I believe if you want to see photos of it, it should be all through social media right now. If you look for Make Trek, hashtag Make Trek, you can see these things. But some of them are as tall as I am. You know, they go up.
Wow.
And by the way, I'm not very tall, but I am 5'7", and a 5'7" piece is still pretty spectacular.
That's a lot. That's a lot of Lego.
Yeah, well, Samuel's an incredible artist. I mean, there are millions of artists around the world that do incredible things, and we see it all over social media. We just wanted to recognize one who had a passion and a talent for it, and we thought this was a great way to do it.
Actually, I did look at the pieces online, and they're beautiful.
They really are.
I actually kind of remember him from, I watched Lego Masters, so
Yeah,
really
yeah.
that's really cool that he got this job after that.
And what's really cool is that on a lot of these pieces, if you go in, it's hard to tell from the image. If you're up close, you can see there's a lot of, I don't want to call them Easter eggs, but you have to be close to see these sort of Easter eggs within them. So there's a lot of depth and dimensionality to them. So I would say I encourage you to go to the Vegas convention if you're around, available, and feel safe going. Otherwise, we'll try to get some close-up shots at a later date.
I am vaccinated, and I would like to go, but I'm not sure if the dates are going to work for me.
Sure.
I would love to see them in person sometime.
Sure. Well, they're not going to be destroyed. Let's put it that way. They will exist somewhere, and I'm truthfully hoping in my office.
If you know, or you have a favorite, or just one that was most affecting for the stories for B-Trek, what was the most affecting story that you received?
I always get these confused because we have our foundation as well, and we do a lot of philanthropic work there, and I get a lot of stories there. So I'm not going to have a very good answer for you.
Okay.
I can tell you that slightly related but unrelated. When we did my documentary Trek Nation, which aired back in 2012, I think 2011. The whole idea was to meet people from all over the world and all walks of life who had a story. And even though we didn't get the interview, it was during the Desert Storm, Desert Shield, whatever you want to call it, the war in Iraq. I spoke to someone over the phone who said that when she was young, she saw 2 episodes of Star Trek in Iraq. And it wasn't like it aired every day. It was only 2 episodes, but there were a group of people who were really sort of fanish about it. And to a young mind and to someone who hasn't really necessarily paid attention to world politics and the social complexities of the world, it was great to think that a country that we were quote unquote in a war with, the people there were just like us. The commonality of this future where we're all together was just so beautiful that I really wanted that story. Unfortunately, we didn't get it, but that's certainly one of the many very powerful stories that I've heard that have affected me.
I was going to ask you actually, and you brought up Trek Nation, how your father's work has affected your own work or influenced your own work.
I would say in every way, except for, I used to feel like I had to follow in my father's footsteps, and there was this expectation of me being Gene Roddenberry. And I always knew, it took a while, but it took a while for me to figure out how to do it. But I knew I couldn't be the next Gene Roddenberry, and I didn't want to be Gene Roddenberry. But I do genuinely, with all my heart, believe in the messaging. I am a fan of Star Trek, not because of the shows, but because of what it says about the future, the Idic philosophy, the not just tolerating, but accepting the uniqueness of all life and in all its forms and all its ideas. It doesn't mean you have to make it your idea. It just means you need to accept it, listen to it, and maybe you might learn something from it. I truly, genuinely, with all my heart, love that. And I try to incorporate it into everything I do.
You mentioned Idic earlier. So what is the Idic philosophy?
So the Idic philosophy is the backbone of Star Trek. It stands for infinite diversity from infinite combinations. And again, it is the true appreciation of everything that is different, whether it is different in form, whether someone has brown hair, perhaps blue hair, whether it's the color of their skin, the clothes they wear, the way they walk, but also, more importantly, the way they think. Star Trek wasn't about people looking for strange-looking aliens. They were going to planets to find species that looked at the universe in a different way, because we knew at that point in our evolution that that's how you grow and evolve intellectually. You find things out there that see things in a different perspective. You listen to that, and then maybe you incorporate that into it. You don't have to agree with everything, but by hearing new things, that's how you grow. By doing new things, that's how you grow. when we fear that, we stunt ourselves. And unfortunately, you know, that was true in the 60s. There was a lot of fear. And sadly, today, there's still a lot of fear. And it's a hard thing to do. But don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I do this every day. It's incredibly difficult to do. But with this celebration of my father, with our online campaigns, we're hoping just a little bit more. We can get that into people's mind a little bit more. And maybe the next time you're out there and you look at someone with blue hair and you say, oh, she's weird. You say, oh, wait a second. That's actually pretty damn cool. Huh. Why do we have
to be weird too? Sorry, I said I'm happy to be weird as well. So
perfect. And it's beautiful.
Thank you. What message would your dad have for the world if he were alive today?
You know, I think within the Idic philosophy, it ultimately represents empathy. Star Trek is about understanding the different things around you, or trying to understand the things around you. Empathy is, well, understanding the things around you, trying to see things from another perspective, from another point of view, trying to fully embody that and get it both intellectually and emotionally. And we live in a society today, as we have for many centuries, where we're quick to judge, where we're quick to blame, where we're quick to point the finger and be afraid of that different thing, where we would be so much better off and we would have such a better future if we were able to stop for that moment and say, this person is saying something crazy. I'm going to listen to it. Even if I don't agree with it, it will help me grow my own intellectual ideas. It'll help me grow my own intellectual self. And by being more open to those things, we will be better people. Again, another thing very hard to do.
Yes.
But it's important that we keep getting that message out there.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely hard, especially right now with the way things are going.
Incredibly.
The different opinions that are not, people don't want to listen to each other, basically. So.
Trust me, I find it a challenge every day. I'm just like everyone else when I hear something on the news, wherever, and I say, that guy's an idiot. But hopefully every now and then I stop myself and I go, well, wait a second. You've said things like that, or you've done things like that. And maybe that person's having a bad day, or they're just seeing it from a point of view that you're not able to see it from yet.
Right. I guess for my last question, as I think we're running out of time.
Sure.
Is there anything that you'd like to tell us that I haven't asked you yet?
I mean,
one thing. No.
Yeah, no, I was going to say we hit on the Idic. I mean, I just the quotes that my father. I just started doing the last few episodes of our podcast quoting Eugene Roddenberry. And I've been listening, of course, to them. I haven't heard all of them, but almost all the way through. And my father really had a true unconditional love for humanity. And even though I sort of knew that, it came through so clearly in these episodes. And I do think that fits in line with Idic and empathy. It is this unconditional love for humanity. And as cheesy and kumbaya as someone might want to say it is, listen, what else is there except for us to unconditionally love the people around us? Nothing else will lead you in a prosperous or useful direction. So I don't know, give it a shot every now and then. It may not be the worst thing you've ever done.
Actually, I do have one more question. Is there anything special you would like to see us do for your father's birthday on August 19th, the Centennial?
You know what would be cool? I'm so glad you asked that. You know what would be really cool? There are millions and hopefully billions of good people out there that are doing good things every day. But it would be cool to honor him, to honor Star Trek, to honor the idea by everyone just doing something nice for someone. I mean, even saying hello to the homeless person on the street, sending flowers. I mean, if you really want to challenge yourself, this was not my father's quote, but this is a quote that I love. Do something that scares you every day. That doesn't mean you have to jump out of an airplane. That can mean just talk to that stranger you've never talked to, or do that thing that is emotionally intimidating, but give it a shot. For people to, the extreme would be for them to challenge themselves in that way, or just do something nice for someone. How cool would that be if everyone on the planet did something nice one day? Maybe it would be a really good day, and maybe we'd add a second day a few years from now.
That'd be great. That would be a beautiful day.
Seems simple, right?
Yeah, a lot of the best things come from simple gestures.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I think there's billions of people who already do that, but why not? Let's make a thing of it.
Yeah, let's add a few more.
Let's add a few more. I like that.
I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for speaking with us. Obviously,
absolutely,
because I'm a Star Trek nerd, but live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper, Desiree. Take care.
And have a good rest of your week, and have a good convention when it happens.
Thank you. Hopefully I hope to see you there one day.
As well. Yeah, I've been to the exhibits that they had there in the past when they had the ride and everything, but I haven't been to actual convention in a long time. So
yeah, well, when you can make it, when it's healthy and safe to make it, please do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.